What up players, it's Woboss Tay up in this mud. Today we're painting up an Iron Warriors Legionnaire of the 4th Legion. Today we're getting him up to this point. So basics, metallics, silvers and golds, and a wash, or 2 washes. Shades I guess you would call them. So stay tuned. This is a regular Chaos Space Marine. You can use this for your army. Any of the Space Marines in the new Battle Force, anything that's built up that's not a Chosen, not a crazy special character Warpsmith, but just a regular old line trooper Chaos Space Marine. So thanks for watching, let me know what you think, and see you in the second half of this video where we will be doing the highlights, the details, hazard stripes, and all that good stuff. Latest players! What up players, it's Woboss Tay, and today we are going to paint up an Iron Warriors Legionnaire. Yeah, I got enough requests, comments, and private messages after my last video to paint one of these guys up, so let's get started. We're gonna base in Leadbelcher. I don't think this should take too long. Might not even take more than one video. We'll see. This is such an easy color scheme to do. I decided to use this model with the Melta on it because the Iron Warriors was known as a siege army, and I kind of imagine that once they've shelled their targets with artillery, then they would come in and break open all the fortifications and bunkers and stuff like that. And what better way to do that than with a big old Melta-gun. I've done this little conversion bits bash on the top. It's the icon of chaos with a little like skull servitor inside. So I've decided to make it like a gift from the Dark Mechanicus, which is the evil version of the tech priests that help out the good Space Marines, the loyalists. They're the evil version, just like Chaos Space Marines are good Space Marines gone bad. The Dark Mechanicus is like the good tech priests who take care of all the technology in the Imperium gone bad. Most of the fluff and stuff that I say, most of it, unless I get really in-depth, but it's just meant as introductory fluff to new players. So for those veterans out there who might be like, why is he talking down to us? I'm sorry, I'm not really, I'm just kind of introducing all these themes and topics and stuff to new players out there. Ooh, one more thing we do have to paint, Leadbelcher, is the bolter. Most of the bolter is going to turn, is not going to end up being this metallic color, but for now, yeah, it's like just about everything on this model is going to start with a Leadbelcher base. Even things that are going to turn gold and get gold detailing on it, for now are going to start silver. Also, since I've got this Melta-gun on the back, I'm going to be painting that up in silver before deciding what is going to change color there. Yeah, it's like the Iron Warriors, more so than many other legions, were just about getting the work done, not fancying up their armor with lots of pretty symbols and engravings, like say the Blood Angels or the Emperor's Children did. Just being very utilitarian, getting the work done. Okay, now while we're waiting for that to dry, we're gonna also start working on the gold. For that, we'll be using Balthazar gold. Oh yes.
Shut up.
Now when you're applying gold to the shoulder pads or any kind of color to the shoulder pad trim, you want to make sure that you get this lip over the top, because that is, you know, you're looking at the models when you're playing with them from a high angle, so you want to make sure that you are able to look down and see the gold there. It's really easy to just focus on the side of the shoulder pad edging, but you don't want to do that. Or not, you don't only want to do that, you want to make sure that you get every angle of whatever you're painting. And that's true with a lot of things, but on shoulder pads it's especially distinctive because the shoulder pads are such a focal point when viewing the model. They stick out from the sides. The Chaos ones especially are so ornate. Painting this little eight pointed star. Now also, something that will make your Iron Warriors stand out from the crowd is if you paint the little, I don't know what you call it, these rims here on the backpack, right above the spherical vents. As well as the caps of the vents themselves. And something else that might be cool to paint up in gold is this arrow symbol. Okay. Next thing we're going to get is the left leg armor piece, the edging. Well, the first thing you really want to do is plot out, if you're going to do the black and yellow hazard stripe design, which leg are you going to do it on? And when I'm trying to decide which leg to put that design on, I choose it by looking at where is the model, what I call the busiest, like where is there the most what side of the model is there the most stuff going on. So for my heavy bolter guy, the heavy bolter was pretty prominently here on the left side of his body, so I decided to paint the right hazard stripe scheme on the right leg. I'm going to do the same thing with this model because the bolter is here on the left side of his body aiming forward. He's looking to the left, so the right side, his right leg, will provide a very nice little place to put a good design there. If we put it on his left leg, it might look a little bit too busy. End up with something like that. It's also good to paint gold the edging on his gauntlets. There's one side and here is the other. Just make sure you go all the way down. And any mistakes you make, if you get it onto the silver part, don't worry, you can just go back over with lead belcher. So I've done that a couple of times, and now I'm going to go back and fix all those tiny little mistakes. Just paint right back over them. Ta-da! Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is, I forgot actually to paint some Balthasar gold on this guy's little bolter feed. On the casing of the bolt rounds. Little details like that, you know, that really will help your model stand out on the battlefield. And that's what we want. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to get some Chaos Black or Abaddon Black, whatever your black paint of choice is. We are going to get to work on painting the black areas. The first big one would be the leg armor that we are going to paint the yellow hazard stripes on. If you're painting using up this color scheme with the new Dark Vengeance Chosen models, then you're probably not going to find too much area to do these kinds of designs, just because the Chosen models are just so packed with detail all over, which is great, but it doesn't let you build upon your painting skills as much. Okay, then we're going to take our black and we're going to paint into the silver sections of both shoulder plates. Yeah, so if the Iron Hands are a loyalist army, or good guys of Space Marines, and they are all about machinery. They're very tech savvy, so they send a lot of their Marines to the priesthood of Mars to get trained as tech Marines. The Iron Warriors would be the complete opposite of that. They are very cold and logical, and They approach warfare from a very logical and detached kind of viewpoint, which is why they had an affinity for just kind of being long range and kind of shelling the living daylights out of their enemies rather than rushing in screaming blood for the blood god. They do mix it up in close quarters as well, don't get me wrong, they don't only sit at the back lines and lob mortar rounds at the enemy, but they were known for having lots of machinery, lots of artillery, and during the Heresy they allied a lot with the Dark Mechanicus, I think, as I've said. And so keeping that in mind when I was making this model, I thought, well, what would be a cool little way to show that he's an Iron Warrior? So I did some things, like I gave him what I felt was a very Iron Warrior-esque helmet, and it has this like iron jaw in the front. And I also gave him a little targeting servitor, or not servitor, targeting servo skull. So maybe he's worked with the Dark Mechanicus a lot and they've seen fit to give him this little targeting servo skull, which kind of feeds data telemetry aiming data into his helmet, kind of finds targets for him to shoot. That was my idea anyways when building this model. Made it more fun, you know, you find stuff like that and it makes painting the models a lot more fun. Okay, also with the black paint, one more thing we're going to add is we are going to paint in any of the joints, such as behind his legs, behind the elbows, or inside the elbows, I mean. And if you can reach it, right where the leg armor meets the crotch piece, you've got these areas that you can paint black. Right along there. Okay. We're gonna do a little bit more and then we're gonna give this guy some washes. So Rakarth flesh onto the targeting skull. And this goes for any skull bone pieces that you may have in your army. Not just for this servo skull, but Rakarth flesh is just a great base. It's not quite Deneb stone from the old range. I said it before, but I'll say it again, Deneb stone was like one of my favorite colors because you could just paint it on, give it a really quick wash, and then it would look like a very realistic bone. And Rakarth flesh can kind of do the same thing. Give it a, give it a wash and a highlight, and it'll look pretty comparable. It's just not the same as I remember. We're going to take Khorne Red, which we are going to paint up as the eyeballs. If you make mistakes, like I do, you just let that dry for a second, go on to something else, and then come back and paint over it. I'm going to paint Kabalite green. on one of the, or on the servo skull's little wire hanging down for one of them. For the other, we're gonna use black. Okay, so the red paint should be dry now, so we're gonna go back with our lead belcher and just clean up the edges. So when you're doing this, you want to make sure that the eyes are painted to look like they are squinting, scowling, just in general looking quite mean. Okay. Oh, also, yeah, there's a little bit of this inner armor on the back of his legs right here. So you want to make sure you get that area where his leg armor meets his butt pleats. Call them butt pleats. Alright, so it looks like we are ready now for the washes. The first wash we're going to give our guy is a nice thorough wash of Agrax Earthshade. You want a nice sized brush, so what I'll be using is the Citadel Games Workshop base coat brush. It's got a nice big head on it. And we're just going to start from the bottom and work our way to the top. So you'll notice that Agrax Earthshade, unlike Devlan Mud, kind of spreads pretty, what's the word? Pretty evenly. There's like a little bit of a wateriness to it. Our goal is we want to make this fellow here look like he's a veteran of the Long War. We want him to look like he was there at the siege of Terra. He was there assaulting the Imperial fortifications during the Horus Heresy. He's not some new recruit, but want him to look like a super awesome, tricked out veteran of the Long War. So you don't want to overdo it with this Agrax Earthshade. You don't want anything to actually look brown. You just want to give a very dirty, aged, oily appearance to all the silver pieces. So how do we do that? Well, we just kind of pull the washes or the shade into the recesses, into the corners, so that you don't have any shade drying on the flat surfaces. As with all models, you don't want any shade drying on the flat surfaces, but more so when you're doing a color like Agrax Earthshade. Watch out when you get to the serval skull thing at the top. Anytime you have something that's close together, like you'll notice these, the icon here on the top of his backpack is very close. Ooh. Yeah, watch out with your pots. You don't want to spill your wash all over the place. So, look, I'll show you what I mean. If I put my shade there, then I go away. It's really easy for it to dry in between each piece. We don't want that. So you just kind of stab your brush in there to get all the excess out and keep going. See, our guy looks suitably dirty now. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our accompanying color, Seraphim Sepia, and do pretty much the same thing, but at the same time we're also kind of focusing on doing it a little bit less, painting a little bit less of this on, because Seraphim Sepia, unlike Agrax Earthshade, will look, well, it has almost like a more yellowish tone to it, so it's going to look like old oil that dried in place rather than Agrax Earthshade. So you want to pick and choose where you want that effect to happen. You don't want it over the whole thing, but I mean, if you paint Necrons too, then this is also a good color to add to your shades, this Seraphim Sepia. Kind of move it away from the center of the metal plates. And there you have it. I'm going to take a little break here, come back in the next part of this video, and we will do the hazard stripes. We'll highlight up using some of the new dry metallic compounds that I've picked up. We'll see how those work on this kind of metal surface, and we will finish up our trader of the 4th Legion, the Iron Warriors. Iron Warriors.